Is colonization of Mars impossible? Well, certain communists seem to think that the red planet can never be inhabited. Never is a long time, and it seems that Elon Musk is far more of an issue to them than Mars actually is. Now, Elon Musk can be faulted for his ever slipping timetables, but it has to be acknowledged that his private space launch system has taken us much further than anybody has previously. Investors are more apt to pony up for a 5 year project than they are a 20-year project. Now, I'm not sure if Musk's timetables are deliberately skewed for investors or he's just overly optimistic on what he thinks technology can do. Ironic for a commie to dump on Elon for a failed 5 year plan. Many of the arguments presented on the problems to be overcome are legitimate. However, the idea that they can't be overcome is either small minded or the desire to doom and gloom the idea so that less capable thinkers will be Mars detractors as well. Now, before I delve into the hurdles, I'd like to point out one of the moon landing hoaxers' favorite pieces of evidence. James Van Allen discovered the radiation belts around the Earth, which are named after him. In an interview they always quote from Popular Science, Van Allen pointed out that no direct flight to the moon was survivable with the existing technology. What the hoaxers never then add is that Van Allen was clear that that was assuming current 1958 technology, and they also never quote, part of the same interview, is that Van Allen had proposed an alternative indirect route requiring polar insertion that would evade the lethal parts of the radioactive belts. Ultimately, technology improved. The first hurdle is dealing with the journey to Mars itself, and one of the issues has already been figured out. Any supplies for the return trip will have already been sent ahead in an unmanned cargo vessel. There is work in progress to pre-position an oxygen concentrator in advance to create fuel and oxygen for the trip back, or for whoever ends up being a colonizer. Carbon dioxide scrubbing and water recycling are fairly mature technologies and are very much already up to that part of the job. The big issue for the trip there ends up being radiation. The type of radiations between the Earth and the Moon versus the Earth and Mars require different types of shielding. Cosmic radiation and Van Allen belt particulates are very different things. The later can be stopped with a very thin layer of metal. Cosmic radiation can cause a cascade effect with metal dislodging larger elements that would be energized by being collided with. The fix for this is water. The hydrogen atoms are small enough to absorb this radiation. Plans to use the ship's drinking water as a general shield, or perhaps a strategically placed module, or even a shelter surrounded by a water bladder, and this is easily done with our current technology. It hasn't been done before because it hasn't been needed. The U.S. nuclear propulsion program has been brought back online, and the technology for this is only modestly futuristic. Safe and significantly faster propulsion may well be within Elon's current time frame. It's not an absolute must do for Mars. It'll just make people transport to Mars much easier and safer. The US is currently on schedule to launch a Mars probe to test nuclear propellant in December of 2028 to test out the capabilities. Due to the thin Martian atmosphere and a weak magnetosphere, radiation is an issue on the surface. Due to higher neutronic generation in the Martian atmosphere, protecting people on the surface will be more challenging than that of surface of the moon. Humans have been in space for over 60 years. What we have learned in Earth orbit and on the surface of the moon will easily resolve this issue. Habitats on Mars will also require additional considerations over that of the moon. Again, due to energized neutrons, the habitats will need to be better shielded than their counterparts on the moon. Digging in habitats or using regolith sandbags will easily do the trick. Robotics AI and remote operating could have a lot of living space built there before people even arrive. So, our communist detractor also pointed out that all attempts at closed habitats on Earth have failed. But this is a little deceitful or perhaps ignorant. Closed non-assistant habitats failed because it was discovered that microbes in the soil were consuming far more oxygen than had been predicted. And this was rectified by adding oxygen scrubbers, which would be an assumed part of any Mars habitation. In terms of comparing the habitat experiments to what is actually needed, the experiment is actually flawed, but highly instructive. But these habs on Mars need to be fully closed in one direction, meaning built not to let any water or air out. They don't need to be closed off to bringing in additives. Mars has water. Mars has CO2 in its atmosphere. It has plenty of other minerals that can be tapped for optimum atmospheric gas mixes. It would be best if the system could run self-contained with a scrubber. But more air and water are available on Mars to make up for the shortfalls or deal with any expansion of the people who are on the surface. Our communist detractor also referenced that no one had set up a colony in Antarctica, as some evidence that we are not remotely ready for Mars. First, that would be highly problematic due to international treaty. Second, although the region mimics the cold of Mars for part of the year, it does little else that resembles Mars. A Mars colony will likely rely heavily on nuclear power, but will also likely supplement with solar, which would be absent much of the time in Antarctica due to the long nights and storms. Thermal heat capturing would also be a source of energy on Mars. Not as easy to do in Antarctica. Although test habitats in Antarctica could likely teach us additional information and help test concepts, the lack of such colonies doesn't diminish the Mars prospect in any way. The same communist writer also noted that the Martian regolith is poisonous. And this is an issue, however, the term toxic is really more applicable. Martian regolith is high in perchlorates, which are various forms of ionized salts. The major issue is if the human body has too much of these salts in the body, it will interfere with iodine take-up, eventually being lethal. Long-term inhalation of perchlorates will cause lung damage. Most bacteria and plants can't live in such soil with the salts at the level they currently are at. However, filtration for this does exist. Tests of simulated Martian regolith stripped of perchlorates does support bacteria and will grow plants. There are existing bacteria on Earth that break down and remove perchlorates. Scaling these up to perform soil and water cleaning has already been accomplished in lab tests. Perchlorates don't need to be completely removed from the soil to facilitate plant growth. They just need to be reduced by dilution. The process of making functional soil on Mars would be a slow process, but not an insurmountable one. So then our communist author makes a fairly big assertion. He assumes, since he doesn't believe Mars can ever be colonized, that Musk believes Mars can never be colonized either. He further asserts that because Elon speaks of a need for human consciousness to spread beyond Earth, he must actually mean humans being uploaded or a digital form of consciousness. He then claims that Elon Musk is like many other tech moguls who are advocates for digital consciousness. This is not backed up by facts. Elon's statements on the subject are that he believes that aspects of personalities and memories will be able to be copied and at some point create a form of immortality, but these are copies and not the original consciousness itself. Continuing on his line of reasoning, the communist author brings up Neuralink as part of his evidence of an uploaded consciousness existing on Mars. as being Musk's primary goal. As most people are probably aware, Neuralink has already had positive benefits, allowing people with spinal injuries to manipulate things in the real world in a way they never could before. Elon's stated goal for Neuralink is that it's a last-ditch effort to let humanity speak with a runaway AI. His thought is if AI gets out of the bottle, the only way we may be able to convince it that we are intelligent and worth saving is to be able to communicate with it at the speed our brain communicates. The communist author then goes on to chastise Musk for helping develop AI as well. The issue here is that AI is going to keep getting worked on regardless if Elon does or not. Even if no American works on it at all, foreign countries will continue to work on it. I'm not sure AI can reach the singularity event that some predict, but it's an idea that's possible, so it means it could happen. AI could become more dangerous than fusion nuclear devices. Whoever gets there first may be able to prevent others from ever catching up. Do we want a foreign power to have that ability first? If we were to pick of our tech moguls, which rich person of the US would we want to be the one who helps discover that? I don't trust Musk in the absolute, but I'd rather have him in the race towards AI just to hedge our bets. The final argument from our Luddite communist is he noted that Musk has been of recent talking more about developing the moon than Mars, suggesting it was Musk abandoning all the people who are investing or supporting Musk's Mars developments. Also suggesting it's proof that Musk has no intentions and never had intentions to send people to Mars. Now, there's been a very long moon first versus Mars first argument in the space colonization community. It goes back to when I was a child. Mars first people believe that the moon is an unnecessary distraction towards getting people to Mars. Moon first people believe a lot can be learned about colonizing the moon at lower risk that will benefit Mars colonization. In my opinion, Musk's Mars first view was the wrong side of that argument. Musk shifting to the moon first due to highly practical considerations, he believes that orbital data centers may be the best way to expand processing power while not overtaxing terrestrial electricity and water. The moon has all the materials needed for building orbital data centers, and because of low gravity, it will be far cheaper to develop industry there and extract those resources. It will create profits and infrastructure for a follow-on to Mars. So the way I look at it is the shift towards Mars is actually highly beneficial. His Mars first view, I always found a little bit hard to swallow. So I find debating communists about as interesting as debating moon landing hoax advocates, which is not at all interesting. Essentially, you end up in an intellectual canyon where real-world observation somehow means nothing, and some dead hack's quotes are their Trump argument, which you must accept without question. So, I have a question here for the viewers. So, throughout this video, I'm essentially refuting claims by one of these people. But I'm inclined not to give their name for fear I might boost them. Is this me kind of being a bitch, or is this a legitimate take? Tell me in the comments below. What technical items did I hit on that probably need some expansion, and did I miss anything? Yep, that's all I can think of. So please smash the like button. If the YouTube algorithms brought you here and you're not a regular subscriber, please check out my other titles. You'll probably find something you'll like. Subscribe. And if you know someone who might find this interesting, please share it with them. Thank you for spending time with me this evening. Hope to see you again in a future video.